Welcome to East Coast DNA.
Thank you for having us.
So you guys form a new to me band, Montgomery Night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Regan, you're the lead for the band. I guess I'll get you to speak first. I'm gonna say right off the bat, though, I think Eric might be the band spokesperson.
That's probably true.
Yeah, I think the better term, unfortunately, is admin. It's not fun, but I can do emails and spreadsheets. It's not the most glamorous part of the band, but you got to do it.
I do like to identify who it is that I'm talking to on the other end, and in each band, it's people usually suspect that it's always the front person from the band, but it's not most of the time. Actually,
No.
it's kind of interesting to always figure out who it is in the band, but. So thank you, Eric. And Regan, to start with you, if you want to, I'm curious, before you give a little intro to yourself, where did the band name come from?
So 4 of 5 of us met at the Monty's Jam Nights on Thursday nights at Monty's Show Bar on Waverly. And so kind of as a little homage to Monty's Jam Nights, we named the band Montgomery Night.
I actually like that. I didn't pick it out, but being that I know the area and I know like how that is kind of a staple in the music industry for our region, especially in your geographic location, that is a cool little backstory for it.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really fun. We had another name and I can't remember. It was
Don't cherry.
It was bad. It was bad.
Easter eggs.
Easter egg. It was pretty. It was good, and we kind of liked it. But I think Montgomery Night just fit us better, just based on like how most of us met and the fact that we still go to the Monty's Jam and we hang out, and it's an awesome place to network and hang out with other musicians and. So, yeah,
and just get your chops up, I guess. If you have any stage fright, you can get on up there week after week and get over it. And it's fun.
Yeah, it's a really, really safe space for like all levels of musicians to go up and like try being on stage. So.
I have heard that from a few musicians in the area, actually. It's not a place that I've been able to pop into too frequently myself because I'm not nearby. But I've definitely heard the same sentiment from people that those jam nights are good, both for networking and for kind of getting the experience of getting up in front of people. And it seems like a lot of collaborations are spilling out of that too. So
for sure.
They should pay us for the promotion.
Dan, if you're watching.
I think you guys should get some drinks on the house or something there.
Yeah.
So where did your musical journey begin then, Regan, that led you to going to these jam nights in the first place?
Long story short, I've been a songwriter since I was like 16, 15, and I'm originally from Manitoba. And so I moved out here about 4 years ago or so, and I was kind of stunted musically. I was teaching, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I do love teaching, and that's what I do for one of my main gigs. Is I'm a vocal coach and a piano teacher, and I also teach songwriting and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it wasn't until I started my very first open mic like 2-ish years ago, and I was invited out to this open mic at the Loose Cannon, and then from there I started going every now and then someone was like, hey, you should come check out the Monty's Jam Nights. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then the rest is history. We just kept going and meeting people and stuff like that. But in terms of musical journey, really, honestly, I didn't do a whole lot until about 2 years ago. I was kind of like a closet songwriter. I tried my hand at production by myself. Not great, but it's there. But primarily, I was a singer-songwriter for a long time, and I still have those songs that I write that are very singer-songwritery, like our song Tomorrow. And I just always wanted something bigger. I've always been like really into metal and alt rock and like the early 2000s sound, and really loved just face melting, to be honest. So the louder the better. And you know, I always envisioned my songs when I was writing them to be harder and with a group and more full, and not just my sappy little me and but myself on the piano, you know what I mean? So it was really kind of awesome to, over the last like year in particular, you know, meet these folks and get to know them, and through the jam, and also we met Evan through a mutual friend, which is awesome. And we're yeah, and it was kind of cool to just gain that confidence again in being able to, you know, not just write as a solo person, but with a group of awesome musicians. And yeah, I hope that answered that question. It's kind of
absolutely. I am curious though, as a singer-songwriter, and especially being that the early part of you doing anything like that would have not been in our region, did you come into this project, like this band, with songs that you had already written? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Most of the songs we have were all written by her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I think we've got about 15 songs right now, and 2 of them I don't think were already pre-written by you.
Yeah.
With them.
Some of them have been like modified, like we've changed them up and like changed completely how they sound. Like I think even Trigger was like that. Right?
Trigger
was completely different.
Yeah, Trigger was interesting because Trigger was much slower, and it was more of a ballad than anything. And now it's like this upbeat, not ska, but kind of ska alt rock thing.
Yeah.
Beach rock song, maybe like a Sublime type of feel.
Yeah,
or something.
it's really fun though. It's a totally different, vision from where I had originally written it. And even Gravity, our song Gravity, I had written that one actually on the boardwalk at Halifax Waterfront, busking.
Okay.
I was busking and I was riffing, and I just ended up with gravity, bum, ba, 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 da, ba, 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 ba. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to the studio or my house and play around with that, because that's kind of fun. And that's how Gravity was born. It was busking 2 years ago. And now Gravity is this big monster beast with a part 1 and part 2. And it's like, oh yeah, it's great.
So maybe I'll move over to Eric for a second here too.
Sure.
So you're the drummer, did you say?
Yeah, I'm the drummer. Yeah.
So how did you get involved? You just met at Monty's?
Yeah, so I was, like I had said earlier, I was kind of looking for a place to get my chops up, and Monty's just kind of popped up on my Reddit feed one day, actually, and kind of went. And I think I was going for about a month and a half before I met Regan, and yeah, we kind of clicked the first night of. You came, we played I think we played Creep by Radiohead and Zombie, which have been a nice change. We've been playing a lot of like Rolling Stones and like CCR the last 4 weeks, and it was just, I was excited to play something
Different.
like little 2000s. Yeah, I guess. So, yeah, no, not knocking the Stones or CCR. They're great, but for sure was super excited, especially to play Zombie. And then we kind of grew from there. We had a few jam sessions with a few other people we met at Jam Night, and Nick was coming through, and then we kind of just slowly formed. We've had a few iterations of the band. Yuri here is joined in a few months ago, so we played 1 or 2 gigs with you, Yuri.
Yeah, no, we played
3 or 4.
4 or 5.
I've lost track.
I can think of at least 2.
Did you join us when, in June or July? June, I think.
June.
June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
But-
where do you come from then, Yuri? Like, did you just move to the area, or were you?
I was I started going to Monty's jams probably like late spring.
Okay.
And we just, I don't know, people just
Gravitate.
invite you to the
Yeah.
stage, like,
Yeah.
who plays bass? And I'm like, so I kind of started playing on stage. We played with Regan and Eric a few times, Nick, and it's kind of like they told me, hey, we have a band actually,
Yeah, it was like perfect timing when you started to come, because we were just swapping up our bass players. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, things work like that sometimes, right? right place, right time.
Now, in both of your instances, it sounds like both of you were doing the same kind of thing, going to these jams, trying to get an opportunity to get on stage, and like Regan was saying, there's a networking aspect to that as well. But I'm curious, like was this the first time that either of you were in a band?
For me, yes, it was my first full band.
Yeah.
So I know, like, I think almost everyone else has played in a band before this. So I'm still learning the ropes and how not to be a bossy jerk.
Yeah,
Like, but yeah, no, it was my first. It was my first band, and it actually is interesting because in terms of the actual timeline of how this all kind of worked out, Eric and I met at Monty's Jam March last year, and I went for about a month and a half, and then I didn't see anybody or do anything for the summer. And then I came back end of August, and that's when we reconnected. And then that's kind of when a couple months later, in October-ish, November-ish, is when we met Nick. And then we met our old bassist Victor. And we didn't meet you until when? January, right? Or December?
Yeah, something like that.
January. So
Wait. No. Nick. Or sorry, not Nick.
Vic?
Vic came in after I joined. Because I recommended Vic
right,
because he
that's
was a friend of
that's
mine.
right.
I'd say we started
Right.
rehearsing as a full group like near the end of February, and then we played that following gig night at Gus's, so the last Monday of March.
It was really
Our
fast.
first show, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really like we were
Yeah.
together, and then like 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks later, we had gig night, and then like 3 weeks after that, we did Battle of Bands.
Yeah, it
And
really
then it was like
yeah.
fast. So realistically, we've only been like a full settled crew, like the crew that is here since like June.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I figured you were new. Being
Yeah.
I don't catch everything, but where I follow the local scenes,
Yeah.
I usually have heard a band name at the very least.
Yeah.
Now, what about our two guitar players here? I'm curious. A lot of bands, especially on the East Coast, if there's two guitar players, one of them is the person that's singing.
Yeah.
I do know Regan does some keyboards as well, so I'm sure that gives lots of room for there to be two guitar players there. But do you guys stick to like one person's rhythm, one person's lead, that type of thing, or
For the most
it's-
part,
yeah?
Nick's much better as a lead than I am. I'm not great with the scales. I've always been like a riff guy. I always like learned riffs, and then the scales came secondary. Nick
Sure.
knows all the scales, knows where to put it, knows where to
Yeah,
play,
his ear.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't like to play riffs.
Yeah, we're opposite in a lot of ways. But it actually works out because like I just sort of like I more play like a rhythm section type role with my guitar a lot of the time, and we're looking about doing more harmonies and stuff like that because I sing too. I used to sing in bands. So, I mean that was legitimately I haven't played in a band in almost actually it's over a decade I think.
Wow.
I don't think I've played in one since I met my wife, and that was 12, 13 years ago. So, yeah. But we're starting to do like a little bit of harmonies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
now.
they're getting
And
fun.
maybe at some point, I just wrote something else with lyrics and everything that I'm planning on singing too. So,
We did Alexis on Fire cover, and we had all three of you singing.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
wow.
had
Yeah, so
Nick screaming,
Yeah.
scared the pants off the Waverly Green. It was so funny.
Yeah, you
They
know,
weren't ready. They weren't ready.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
weren't ready to roll,
it's,
Jordan.
it's so funny. I'm not a big guy. I'm
Yes.
5'7", so I'm not very tall. I'm a slim person, and I'm playing guitar, and I'm always smiling, and like, and then
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch.
Yeah,
him.
and then everybody like, what happened?
People were confused. Like,
Yeah.
I like the difference. Like, there's a lot of people in our region that obviously listen to a lot of the bands that you have mentioned and those genres of music. But even though there's definitely a little bit of everything in our area, for a brand new act, one, there's not many people these days that are like, let's put a band together. And there's a lot of new people that like a lot of people would be like, let's call ourselves Regan.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
they're
Regan
a acoustic
Kant,
band. No.
so it is nice to see that there's still bands coming out of the woodwork, even though it might be a little slower.
Yeah, yeah. It comes with its challenges, right? So
Hmm.
it's scheduling, but we've done a pretty good job of getting together most Sundays
Yeah.
Yes.
here at, where Regan teaches here at Echo Mindful Music. So yeah.
And does that give you, like, afford you an opportunity, like, where you kind of work with that area too? Do you have facilities there where you can record, or is there somebody that has a studio in the mix, or where are you guys going
Uh,
to put these things down?
so yes and no, and sorta.
Okay.
So in terms of like rehearsal space, so I'm sure you can see all the artwork and stuff. So I actually do all of my teaching in here, and so the owner, who's also a really good friend of mine, Adam LeBlanc, he's allowed me to use this space on the weekends. So this is where we do the majority of our writing and stuff like that, and our rehearsing. And then we all collectively have enough gear to record in here. Cool. So
Yeah.
I think that's how we're gonna try our single trigger we did with a guy, and gravity actually we did with a guy named Joshua Kelly. He runs the basement Halifax studio, and he's an awesome dude. He's a really like super sweetheart. He's done a bunch of music for some friends like my friend Anna Nikonova and James Harley Jones, who's got a song out. So but yeah, super nice. But I think going forward we're gonna try and stay as independent as possible. And then that way I don't know.
After all that admin work I did with Actorax and SoCal the last weekend, but I do still want to stay independent. But holy crap, that was a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm of two minds doing it a little bit like where some of this is similar, like when you get into the admin stuff and behind the scenes stuff. To be running a show where I also take it mobile and stuff. There's definitely parallels, and I talk to mostly musicians, so of course my brain's gonna go there, but I am of two minds of it. I'm a huge supporter of do it yourself because I don't like to see people limited by resources.
Yeah.
And I really do like the authenticity that comes out of when you got to kind of be a little bit creative and think outside the box. Sometimes you have something a little different too. But on the flip side, they say money can't buy happiness, but it makes things a lot smoother.
It's
Like,
true.
if you could drop the money and walk into a studio that's all geared up and ready to go, like, you wouldn't turn it down either, right?
No, of course not, right?
Exactly.
No, but we've been rolling so far in this stage pretty good. We kind of self-produced our own music video. I spent a good amount of time editing it, and we just had fun with it, kind of wore some goofy outfits and took like 5 different takes and just edited them all together. So the lighting wasn't perfect, but other than that, I'm really excited for the video.
It's very MTV 2006.
It gets a good do it yourself vibe.
You're sticking with your niche anyway. Like
exactly.
So.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Now, have you played much live? Like, I know you've done some live performances. There's clips online. So I'm curious as far as you obviously would have some covers fed in through sets because I go to bars in this region. You have to do that a little bit. You have your originals that are in there, but also your originals are that same. If we stay away from the word genre, maybe I'll borrow the word vibe. So your music's in the same vibe as your influences. So how is the reaction as far as your audience? I'm curious, like, do people start coming because they're aware of what they're going to get and you're building up an audience that's fans of the band, or are you able to find venues that you can go to where there's already an audience that has an appetite for that vibe?
I think yes.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Because we definitely have people that come up and go like, oh, like I honestly, the comments that I get the most have nothing to do with like any of the covers. We don't do too many covers to be
we primarily only do the originals.
Yeah, we do like one cover a show usually. So
it's mostly originals, but we have people returning and stuff like that and commenting on the riffs and like the songs. But we also do go. I mean, most of our shows have been at Monty's and
or Gus's.
Gus's,
We've done Gus's a
which
lot.
are places that definitely have like people go who have an appetite for that. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I think we've done quite a few shows.
yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, we've
for
been pretty
how-
lucky to kind of just get the shows where it's more acceptable to play originals, I guess. Yeah, we've kind of been kicking the doors a little bit, letting people know that's kind of our preference, that, hey, like, we could do covers, but we prefer to do originals. It's just more fun for us, right?
And then we throw in one or two like fun ones.
We've practiced a lot of covers actually recently.
We have. It's good to have
just
in our arsenal,
just to have as our repertoire type thing.
Just in case somebody's like, do something Britney Spears. Okay, well, we've done Toxic. We can do this.
Yeah. It's good to have something in your back pocket, just especially if you get a night where like you played the full sets that you practiced and the crowd's really into it and the venue giving you the thumbs up to play an extra 10-15 minutes. It's nice to whip out something people can sing along to too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, as far as your single, we've talked about Trigger a little bit already here. But that is your latest. By the time people are seeing this, it is a new release. But at this point, I can't really ask you on traction of it because it's not publicly available yet.
Well, Elizabeth, so it is our debut. So I don't know if we did this on purpose or an accident due to like timing and money, but we played a number of shows, like 5 shows before we stepped into recording, and originally Trigger wasn't going to be our debut song.
But people love it.
Yeah, we've had great reaction to it.
Yeah.
We've even had like people comment on our videos on Instagram saying like this song was awesome, whatnot. We haven't had that on the other songs, so sometimes it's just best to listen to what people are giving us. But we have a big umbrella of alt rock sounds, and Trigger is a little bit more like indie rock, indie pop maybe, more so than our other ones. So we're still cutting our teeth and getting some different sounds. We have like some big arena sounds and maybe something a little bit more on the nu metal side and just like all around. So we're kind of figuring it out and narrowing it down. So.
Yeah, I get Evanescence a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we played that Surge Battle of the Bands and someone showed it like Amy Lee, and then you kind of just played the My Immortal cover on one end.
On the fly.
Yeah.
Because it's such an easy one to pull out. Right?
I find when you're playing this style of music, with like guitars and like a female vocalist, it's kind of hard to shy away from those comparisons a lot of the time. Even in my opinion, even if they're not necessarily founded.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, if you think of our song War, though.
Like, that one's definitely.
War is definitely. I called it as a joke my Evanescence song because that's the one when I wrote it. I had a very specific sound, very like bring me to lifey. Yeah, exactly. Wake me up. We are not doing that on stage, let me tell you now. But yeah, it's very much like that. Trigger's been a fun one, and I've enjoyed the kind of the evolution of how it's been since we wrote it and since we recorded it, and even since we've recorded it, you know, we have funny little background things that we're not actually going to put in the recording, but we have fun with it, right? It's just a feel-good song. It's fun to bounce around to. I never stand still when I sing this one. It's one of the very few ones that we do that I don't play keys and I just jam with the boys on stage, and usually with a tambo, and it's just a blast. It's a really fun song.
Sometimes we play it at jam night and let the other musicians kind of take solos. We've had our friend Roger like rip some saxophone solos.
So it sounds like you're very you get a lot of your enthusiasm from your live show, but I'm curious where you're releasing a debut single and you do have a catalog of songs. Is there plans maybe through the fall, winter to record some of those other songs? Like, are you building to an EP, an album?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're at both. I think we're going to start with an EP. We kind of have like 4 or 5 that we want on the go. And then probably by winter next year to have an album ready to roll. We have in particular 3 or 4 songs we want to have out kind of by late spring. One in particular, A Million Miles, which we wrote with a good friend of ours who we also know from the Monty's Jam. And there's some special circumstances behind that one, so we want to get that one out as quick as possible too. But yeah, gearing towards an EP late spring at the absolute latest.
Yeah, in an ideal world, we could have an EP out by spring, and then play shows on the back of it, right, for the summer, and then hunker back down. I feel like that's the cycle in Canada, right?
It
You
pretty
kind
much
of hunker
is,
in the
yeah.
winter when the snow is in. You don't have to worry about shoveling if you got the home studio.
Yeah.
Hunker down
Winter
and
is time to record and write,
yeah.
and then summer is to
Never
perform.
mind shack up season, right?
Yeah.
It's record season.
My dad's a musician, and I used to help. He was a keyboard player, and he used to carry those big Leslie amps and stuff like that, and I'd help him move his gear in. And we'd do it in winter, and it was always awful. So,
Yeah.
I've trudged through the snow with a couple amps and stuff. I don't play, but just to help out
Yeah.
other people before, and I was not very good at it. I'll tell you that. It seems simple. That snow can really wear you down when you're trying to move something. That's for sure.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about live gigs going forward then? Like you've done extensive performances in the past, and we already kind of know that there's new material coming, but will you be able to afford time to be able to do live performances while you're building towards that EP?
Yes, I think so. I think being on stage is a priority for us too, right? To interact and have that reach and stuff, but also to get out of this little room and actually have fun in front of people. Because we very much so feed off the energy of the people and the hype, you know what I mean? And so I mean, we have 2 gigs already coming up on September 30th, which is our release date for Trigger. So, and then we have on October 4th, we have with High October and Origami Workshop, we're doing our release party. Also at Gus's.
Yeah, so the 30th is gig night.
Yes.
We're fortunate enough to be hosting that one, but if you're familiar with gig night, it's like a band mixer. If you remember Rockin' for Dollars,
Yeah,
very much a rebirth of that. So we're playing that, and it kind of just worked out. We had the song done and said, well, we'll release it that night. And then I think pretty much when we made that decision, I got a text message saying, hey, do you want to play that Friday? So I said, yeah. I asked them if we could host it as a little party for our release. And yeah, High October and Origami were game for it. So 2 dates coming up at Gus's, 30th of September and October 4th, that Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And both of those bands, they have not, neither one has been on for like a full interview, but they've both been featured in one way or another in our content.
Yeah.
last
Nice,
year,
yeah.
So
I actually
definitely cool on up.
I actually work with Nick from Origami Workshop. They're
Okay.
one of my instructors, and so it's kind of fun that we're gonna gig together. We've gigged together before, but it's like a little echo crew.
Yeah.
Nice songs for the deaf drum solo at your instructor concert.
Yeah, we did.
Cool.
That
Yeah.
was awesome, yeah.
We did an Echo Mindful Music Studio instructor showcase, and Nick did a percussion solo from Origami Workshop, and it was chef's kiss. So good.
Amazing. Yeah, no, definitely fans of those bands. It sounds like an amazing lineup, and I'm just trying to visualize mentally the flow of sounds, because each band has a little bit of a different sound, but that's cool.
It's going to be interesting. I'm excited for it. We're first, and then we have Origami next, or
I think Origami's ending the night,
Origami.
October
So,
2nd. So
October.
yeah,
and
the
then
show's going to start at
Origami.
9
Okay.
that night, a little
At
later, and
Gus's.
then run to like
And
midnight.
now-
So yeah.
It's a single release, so I imagine it's available on all digitally streaming platforms.
Yes.
Is there any merchandise or physical component to go along with the release? Should people carry cash?
Currently now we have buttons.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, we got some buttons.
Yeah,
That's
they're
amazing.
super cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still small and growing, so
Yep.
hopefully in the springtime,
Mhm.
when we're ready to go with our EP, then we'll have some t-shirts
Yeah.
and other merch and stuff. But right now we got buttons.
Yeah, we're just blessed to have anyone listening where it's our first song. But if you do want to go support, it'll be on Bandcamp as
Amazing.
well. So if you do want to help us out, there it is. So
Yeah.
Perfect. So if anybody wants to follow you online, aside from going to Bandcamp, which I recommend that people follow bands on Bandcamp, because it's not that intrusive, but you do get notifications when that artist has new releases out. It seems like, well, I follow them, I'm going to know, but every once in a while, like a single or something pops up, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know they were in the studio. Like I thought
Yeah.
they haven't played in a while. Then I guess that's why. So definitely recommend that people go and follow bands on there. So go find Montgomery Night out there, and elsewhere online. Where should people follow you to keep up to date with the EP and live shows?
So we have our Instagram. It's Montgomery Night. Is it Montgomery Night Band or just Montgomery?
No,
It's just Montgomery.
all our
Night.
handles are at Montgomery Night. I'm a bit of a internet nerd, so I literally spew it out everywhere. You could even find it on freaking Pinterest. So. I made a TikTok notes. I don't like that, but I really like Threads. So Threads and Instagram, I would say, if you like those ones, follow us there. But anywhere, we've got a YouTube channel getting ready to launch with the single. So
the website.
Yeah, and of course our own personal website. You can go check that out. It's fun to make if you ever had a Pixo website back when you were a kid, like 2000, very much like that. Yeah.
Is it just montgomerynight.ca?
MontgomeryNight.com.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
I'm a bit of an IT guy myself, so
Nice.
I appreciate the effort that you put in there. It's I don't know it. I wouldn't say it's OCD, but there's a little bit of that where I like to see stuff uniform, and when you have the one handle that doesn't really fit, I'm like, but the algorithm's not gonna.
I think there's one. It's Twitter where I had to spell it NITE.
Yeah,
I'd taken like the regular spelling of night, but I think everyone else should be fine. Yeah.
And Twitter's gonna go away in the next few years.
No, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Trash.
Threads is actually awesome.
Amazing.
If you're trying to grow like a community or a band, it's really good
We've
right
had
now.
really good reach on Threads. Like you had one post with like 15,000 responses or something like that.
Not that many. I think if 500 people replied to it. I just put a call in for like music recommendations, and it just kind of
big one. They had a lot of
it's like
it was
that.
in the
Yeah.
thousands. But
Yeah.
I love to see the engagement out there, so it's nice to see that there's people out there that are putting the content out and actually being able to find opportunities to respond and interact with their fans as well. Like those are good numbers. Like it's not easy. Years ago, you wouldn't have any way of doing that. Like
No,
I
of course
know.
not. You'd be outside Gus's pub or something handing out pamphlets, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I get it out.
You have a minute to talk about your car's extended warranty and our band.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Definitely easy to feel pressure to like, a lot of people suffer burnout with social media, but like, it's got two sides of the coin too with it. So
you were asking about like if we're gonna keep playing like live and stuff like that. And I like because of social media, like it's kind of a necessity for bands to play live, which is funny because like for a long time, like there were a lot of bands that just like didn't have to play live; they would still get traction. But now you kind of have to build up the following on like a social media platform. So you have to have that content just constantly like.
Yeah, it's that 15 minutes of fame that nowadays you want to keep it going, so you got to keep fueling the machine to keep it going longer and longer. So
you need to play live to produce the content to promote your social media so that you can play more.
One thing they don't tell you is that like anything nowadays, no matter what you do, you also become a content creator.
Like that's
like
I
it's
do
just
so
part
much. I advertise this as a podcast, which is what it is, but I do so much content creation to kind of support it and keep people outside of it that this seems trivial compared to the volume of activity I do outside.
I know. I feel that. I also do the marketing for Echo and the content creation for Echo as well. So like I totally get how much work it is, and then we also do it for the band too. But we do it all together, which is kind of nice. But
you two do it more than the rest of us.
This guy.
I do it a lot. I do it for other like volunteer. I've done it for like the YMCA in Ontario.
You're
for
doing
a bit.
it for Chima.
I do it for a kayaking club. So,
Eric's just into the whole thing just so he can go on a podcast and get cred for doing social media. I can see it. That's what fuels you every morning to get out of bed. You're like, one day I'll be.
If you need a digital marketer, he's your dude.
No, it's amazing, and I do love it. I like engaged people that I can go back and forth with and get things done. We turned this around pretty quick, so I do appreciate that. And so anyone out there that watched this that's new to the band, I recommend you go out and find them on socials and follow them. And if you're on YouTube watching this, please hit subscribe to East Coast DNA as well. I haven't been forcing that too much the last couple months, but I'm going to be back in begging people to hit subscribe for the next few months for sure.
I joined your Discord channel. I told
Yeah.
you the internet degenerate, so I'm all on the Discord.
It's been kind of dead too, but
yeah.
My when I first started this, my brother was my partner on it, and he was big into the Discord part. So I might have to dust that off maybe over these winter months. But for anyone that's still watching, we're going to play off today with the single that we talked about. So stick around, listen to Trigger. And thank you, everyone from Montgomery Night. And we'll talk again really soon.
Pictures on the walls around me, bringing memories to come crashing down. Standing in the middle of the room, surrounded by the silence and screaming out loud. And there was one cold finger on the trigger. What you figure when release itself in time? And when it's not with the confession, I'll say I've learned my lesson, but the truth will only ever be mine. You'll never see me crawling, oh no. There's only one way from the bottom, it's up. Got my spotlight on my skeletons. Dented shadows in the carpet remind me of the furniture that's no longer there. I'm seeing echoes of a girl I once knew. I can forgive her, but I won't forget. And there is one cold killer in the mirror, seeing clearer. The truth doesn't pick a side. And when it's time for the confession, I know I've learned my lesson, 'cause you can't heal if you don't make the time.